Sundara Ekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharasya Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketurganadhyakshaha Palachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Sativarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantayet Yasyatiradavastadhya Parishadhya Parasatam Vignam Vignam Satatam Vishwaksenam Tamatraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvaditam Gaganasadrisam Tattvamadhyadilakyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamashalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavaditam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Annatachri Jagannatho Sri Jagadguruhu Amatma Sarva Bhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. With Swami's grace, let us continue from where we left off yesterday, last session. Just to summarize, before we start the first, actually we started the first sutram of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and the very first word atha is what we are looking at, atha, right? And for before atha means afterwards, after that, after doing something else. And the real meaning of that is after getting the qualifications, so to speak, which means sense control, mind control, and desire control, and improving one's selflessness and being an extremely loving person. There are so many disciplines required. After that, we start receiving the teachings of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So, the Rishi says, right, the very first word is atha, after that. Now, in our case, as I mentioned in the last session or the session before, that really there is nobody born who is qualified to teach Patanjali Yoga Sutra. The only person who can do that who has earned that knowledge, which means one who has become one with Bhagavan himself. And those people generally do not teach. We learn from their conduct. And the only person who's really qualified to teach is Bhagavan himself. And that Bhagavan will teach us because we sincerely want to learn. So even though we may not fully meet the qualifications of the word atha, we will do our best and sincerely yearn for it, and Bhagavan will teach us the way he decides it is best for each one of us as he takes us towards his lotus feet. And in the limited knowledge, some of the things that we can easily understand and learn is what we started doing. We covered the obstacles we face involved in learning. And to summarize, there are three qualifications, three major groups of obstacles: the past, the present, and the future. And the present has got past, we know, and the future, we know what the obstacle is. And the present, there are four obstacles. One is called the Vishaya Asakti, which is the getting involved in the grammar and the language and the way things are constructed, and appreciating, my God, what a great poet this is and all that. We miss the message, right? And the second obstacle is dull intellect, Mudamati, right? Which is what probably, I know I have it, and you can evaluate whether you have it also. And this has nothing to do with intelligent quotient, the IQ, nothing to do with that. This is a question of using our buddhi, right? So, second is dull intellect. So, from there, we automatically miss the learning that is happening in the present. And the third was kutargam, right? The crookedness of looking at things. And the fourth is the insistence that what I am saying, my arguments, my understanding, my way of looking at things, that's the correct one. And keep on insisting that. Those are the four obstacles present in the present. That prevents us from learning the message that Bhagavan is giving us all the time, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Universe is a university. But we missed that message because of those obstacles. Then we moved into understanding what the body is. Right? And then we'll come over some of these things that Rishi is talking about, or it's in our scriptures. We need to understand what they are. Very important. So we started with the body, and we said the body is composed of Pancha, 5 elements. How so? What are the 5 elements? We covered that. Right? And the 5 elements are Akasam, Vayu, Agni, Jalam, and Prithvi. Right? And each one came from the previous one. But where did the Akasam come from? That question came. That came from Bhagavan himself. Now, the way to look at it, not physically. Physically, Prithvi is physical, gross. The next level of less gross, but a little bit more subtlety is in Vayu. Then from there, even Vayu itself is not really physical. Right? I mean, even though we think we can put it in a jar and do experiments and all that, but really you cannot see it. You can only feel it. But then you come to Agni, which is more subtle. And then that is more subtle than that is, Jalam, from Prithvi to Jalam to Vayu to Agni. And then from Agni to Akasam. Akasam, immediately we look at the sky. And sky is not what Akasam is about. We have been derailed by learning it in English, thinking sky. No, Akasam is not sky. Okay? Akasam is extremely subtle. It's present everywhere. Right? And you can call it space if you want. Now, subtler than that is Bhagavan. So we have to go from the gross to the subtle. The gross came from the subtle, subtlest one, and less subtle and less subtle and less subtle like that. So we have to do the re-engineering, go backward from the gross to the subtlest. That is the process of yoga, right? Now, we covered, okay, where are the 5 elements present? First we covered how Akasam is present in the body. Now, summarizing that, first of all, each one of us, all the scriptural knowledges, whatever we hear, Hare Rama, whatever we say, or we say Bhagavad Gita Slokam, or we say Jaya Satakam, whatever, it doesn't matter. It is not in a book. It is not somebody speaking and I hear and feel good and go out and do my own stuff. No. Everything is personal. Whatever you hear, whether it is Vedas, it is within me. So how do I relate it to it on a personal basis? It is not separate from you. Everything is within you. So we need to understand it from that perspective, because that is the truth. There is no world, there is no universe, there is nothing. So now, when I make the statement, it sounds so crazy, so weird, but that's the truth. There is nothing. I am creating everything. an illusion, a maya, a projection, a mirage, right? So, understand where is this akasam present in me. The first element is within each one of us, there is a knower. There is somebody who knows. We know that. Very subtle. It is there. Somebody who's knowing. That is called jnata. That's the first aspect of akasam. How akasam is present, the subtlest element. Right? How is it present in us? Can you put your finger on this knower? But you know it is there. Experience it personally. First aspect, how akasam is present within us. And the second, we all know, one of our most favorite words is mind. I want peace of mind. My mind is agitated, right? This mind is always talking, creating so much noise. Can't even silence it, right? But what is this mind? Have you ever thought of it? That is within me, I know, right? It's a personal experience. That's the second aspect of manas, is the second aspect of how akasam is present. Third aspect of akasam that is present is buddhi. And buddhi is something that immediately we say buddhi, we feel very friendly towards it. When I say mind, we feel kind of enigmatic towards it because it is not doing benefits to us. It's giving us problems. Whereas buddhi, it's kind of keeping quiet in a corner, keeping silent, and giving us all the good things to do. So it is my friend. Buddhi never disturbs me. Never. I don't listen to it. That is why it becomes dull. I don't use it, so it has become dull. Like a knife, you have to use, not like a knife, like the path in a pathway, the track, walking trail in a forest. If you're the first one to walk, and then you keep on walking the same way, the trail becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, right? That's the great thing about nature. The more you use it, the muscles, the more you use it, the stronger they become. They don't become weaker. And so buddhi, we are not using it, so it becomes dull. But I know it. I feel friendly towards it. That's the third one. So you got jnata, manas, buddhi, and then there is this thing within us that whatever nice smile I might make and whatever vesham, disguise I might put, and all the worship I do and the charity and all the talks and everything I do, I am doing this. I am doing this. That feeling is there. I kept myself away from Bhagavan. Do I think I am God? Even a thought itself may sound sacrilege to some people, right? How is it possible? Right? So I keep it away from it. Then I am doing, the feeling comes. That ahamkaram is the fourth way, and it's a very subtle one. We know we can relate to it. I can't catch it, I can't see it, but I know it is there. Very subtle. So that is the fourth one. And the fifth one is called Panchakam, which is all of us, we taste happiness. We seek happiness. Nobody seeks misery or sadness or difficulty, right? So even when we are going through some difficulties, we go through it with the firm faith and hope that on the other side of it is happiness. Correct? Hope. And of course, when we are enjoying happiness, we forget that is also temporary. A pleasure is an interval between two pains. That is the truth of the world. Okay? Anityam asukam imam lokam is what Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. Anityam asukam. Anityam, temporary, asukam. It is full of misery only. I cannot get happiness out of this world. Whatever I get is only temporary because it is followed by misery. And then that is followed by happiness. So if you look at pleasure is nothing but interval between two pains. And pain is nothing but interval between two pleasures. And it continues. It is anityam and is asukam. This lokam, imam lokam, this world is anityam, is asukam. Therefore, prapya, get out of it, free, bhajasva mam. Mam bhajasva. So that is what Bhagavan says. which we don't listen. That's another story. Now, so the fifth one is this Panchakam. These are the 5 elements in which Akasam is present. Then the student asks the question, okay, Swami, so you talked about Akasam. The next less subtle than the Akasam, which is still not gross, okay, is Vayu. So how is Vayu present in the body? You said the body is made out of 5 elements, Panchabhutangal. So it has to be, it's a product of the 5 elements. Now I understand the Akasam part. Where is the Vayu present? But that we all know. Okay, we even on our Naivedyam and all we say that. The 5 elements of vital air, as we call it in English. The first one is, we all, whether we realize it or not, we are doing balanced breathing. If the breathing is not balanced, most of the time we have got balanced breathing. Now when you're out of breath, it's not balanced. Correct? But the out of breath, we are not out of breath all the time. We are moving around doing many things, right? So many things we do, 24 hours non-stop, right? And the machine goes on. So that balanced breathing aspect is samana, the first one. And there is a vital air that is present throughout this body, this gross element called body, from head to toe. If it is not present, then we are in trouble. If it is present in too much, then we have got other pain that comes in. But it is there, present. And that is called Vyanam. Vyabhikarde is used very often in Tamil colloquial. So that's a root word for Vyanam, pervasive. Then the even though we are walking and we are staying up, if you ever think about it, the blood that goes to the brain has to fight gravity. And it does. Heart pumps it, it fights gravity and goes up. And the blood goes, when you're standing up, goes to the toe and all that, gravity helps it. This thing goes on, right? What happens to this air? Air also has to go to the brain. So the upward movement of the air, that is called Udhanam. The third aspect in which Vayu is present. And that goes through the throat onto the brain, onto the head rather, not just the brain. Then Pranan, okay, is how this lifeless physical lump that we call the body started moving and all that. Okay, just like a piece of wood, log, that's lying there, and all of a sudden it started moving and started talking and walking and running and creating troubles and all that. That is what we are all. So that first thing that happened was the life-giving thing is the pranan, which is in our personal basis, the air that we breathe out. Okay, the beauty of Bhagavan's creation is that everything is in equilibrium. Everything is in equilibrium. But we create it like a placid lake. You go to the Rocky Mountains, you see a beautiful lake there. So peaceful it is. Enjoy it. That is nature. Then if I put a stone into it, immediately a ripple comes. I create disturbance. But the ripples vanish because equilibrium is always maintained. So I create this noise and disturbance. That's what I do. No other creature does. With 8.4 million varieties of creation in Bhagavan, human beings is the only one that is disturbing the equilibrium. Everything else is absolute equilibrium with nature. So we have to learn from them. So because the pranan comes out, dying the apanan, the air breathing in, takes place. So long as life force, Bhagavan decides, this lump of physical thing has to keep active, the apanan will come. The moment it decides, no, you've done your job, then the prana, the last breath that comes out Okay, the breath that is present in the body, not the pranan. Pranan, please understand this very carefully because you can relate to this personally. While I am breathing out and breathing in, the air is, Vyanan is always present. Within my body, the vital air is present all over. And Udanan is also present, right? And they're all balanced. Isn't it? Nothing decreases there. Okay? But the final breath that comes out is not prana. It is called, that is also Udana. Okay, it's another name for it is Udana. That's a residual quantity, it's 500 milliliters of air or something like that. Very little amount, it is not much. And ping, we call it in English the lost gasp. Ping, the thing comes out of this log of food. That's all. Then there is nothing goes back. Do you understand? So these are the 5 ways the Vayu is present.
Question, sir.
Yeah.
We normally start with prana.
Right, right.
So we start with samanam, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there an order makes any?
Well, no, there is no order.
No order.
What we say, for the Naivedya Mandiram we do, why we say prana, we begin with prana first. When you actually look at this, it is because everything is balanced, it started with samanam, right?
Okay. The
reason we say prana is swaha in the beginning is because, Swami, this is just a physical lump. Okay? It is not doing anything. It is becoming active, not because of samanan. It is becoming active because of the pranan aspect of Vayu. And then the air is taken in, and then it's balanced, it's pervasive all over, and then the final thing, when this body leaves, the final gasp of air comes in, and what happens to that gasp of air that comes out of this physical lump? It becomes one with everything. So, and that is Brahmandam. So, when we say Naivedyam in that order, Naivedya Mandiram in that order, we are saying, we are only reminding ourselves this is just a lifeless entity, a piece of physical lump. That's all it is. It is, I am not doing this. I am not making this chakra pamal and giving this to you. I am not the doer. You are. So I am reminding myself. So in that order we say. That's all. Sure. Okay. So these are the Pancha Pranas. Okay. 5 aspects. So remember what the teaching is. The 5 Panchabhutangal are present. The body is not a present. It's the other way around. The body, I am the product of these 5 elements. Please understand. I'm made that way. To put it in a very simple manner so that we understand is, on another aspect is, we have all heard the word Ashtavasukar. Okay? Vasukar, Vasu, we have heard this. There are 8 of them. And what does it simply mean? It means this physical lump, this body and mind and all that we call ourselves and going away thinking, what is it? It is nothing but a product of the 5 elements and put together in a physical lump, okay, from the forces of the sun, the moon and the stars. 5 plus 3 is 8. That is what this physical lump is made of. And then when the forces go away, when the life force goes away, it goes back to the 5 elements. So that's all it is. So when you look at it scientifically like that, it begins to make sense. Understand? So now what are the ways, 5 different ways the Agni is present? Yes. Yeah. Sure. Which one? The last part? Okay. Okay. Now, last part. See, suppose you take this cell phone, okay? We immediately give it a form and it's got a shape and a body and a weight and all that. Isn't it? Yes or no? We all know scientifically, if we break it down, it comes down to atoms. How are the atoms held together? What is the force? We give it different forces, molecular force, there's so many scientific names we may give. But what is the origin of those forces? How did those forces come from? This is what our rishis say, the force exerted by the sun, the force exerted by the moon, and the force exerted from the stars. Okay? Those forces pull together these 5 elements. This space, akasam, the air, and we'll see what Agni is. I cautioned you last class. Agni means, don't think immediately a flame coming out of a lamp. Please. That is one form in which Agni appears, but that's not what Agni. Agni is different. Okay, we'll talk about it. So Agni, and then Jalam and Prithvi. So this force pulls all these things together and makes a shape of Mrs. Lakshmi Rajan or Mrs. Banu, whoever it is, right? That's the 5 elements plus the 3 forces becomes 8. And those are the Ashtavasuka. That's another subject. Vasu means one who's resident in. Srinivasan, we say. Vasam, we say in Tamil. Right? And that is our place of residence. So Ashtavasuka means the 8 things that reside. Okay? To make this body move around. Right? That's why when the body finishes its job, it disappears. What happens to it? When you do the cremation or when you do the burial, what happens to this thing? It becomes one. There's nothing left. Right? We say the ashes, right? Physical. Okay. Can I move on? Is that clear? So, what about the Agni? So, yeah, that is now very important. How is Agni present in our body? See, if you just think for a second, how subtle and powerful our eye is, how subtle and powerful our ear is, our nose, our tongue, our skin. What do they do? We say my eye sees. Scientifically, yes, goes into the brain, images upside down, left side, left to right, and all these things, and brain puts it up. Then we miss the message. Because Vishaya Asakti. We get involved in something, but we miss the message behind it. How subtle it must be. What is that power there? That's able to do it. That's present in me. Right? So the Agni is present in the form of, these are called the Jnana Indriyangas. Jnanam, to perceive, to cognize, to know. If I don't have these 5 operating, okay, suppose a person is in coma, okay, eye doesn't see, it's closed, whatever, ears don't hear, skin doesn't sting, right? Nose doesn't smell, and tongue doesn't taste. To that person, does the world exist? So I cognize what I create through these 5. Jnana Indriyangal. That's how Agni is present in our body. The 5 elements. Okay? Clear? Now, so they also call Jnana Indriyas. Jnana Indriyas. Indriyam is, we say senses and move on. No, what does it mean? It means that is something externally oriented. Impossible to use my eye to see inwards. Impossible. Impossible to use my ears to hear inwards. Impossible. So Indriya means externally bound. Okay? So Jnana Indriya. Do you understand? Okay. Now comes, what are the 5 ways in which Jalam is present? Jala Panchakas, it is called. Okay? And that comes as, now when this is interesting. This is how this Pankam va idagum sarvam, that Taittiriya Upanishad talks about, that context in which Rishi is explaining that is this. Whereas Narayanam idagum sarvam is the truth. But in the way that I'm interacting with the world, I'm not looking at the truth, but what is the process of operation? what is the algorithm that is taking place, is my eye has to connect with something else. What does it connect with? Okay, it connects with what we call as rupam or form. Right? I cannot connect with a sound. We all know that. So, the 5 things that the jnana indriyangal connect to so that I can cognize this world that I've created, what are those? They are called sabdam, sound. Okay, right? Then sparsham, which is the one we touch, right? The skin relates to that. Rupam, the eye relates to that. Rasam, tongue relates to that. And gandham, the smell, the nose relates to that. Those 5 are the jala panchakas. That is how the element of jalam is present in me. Remember, it is not external. The rupam is please understand this. In the moment, because we're all used to seeing a form means we think outside, right? But what is the element of this jalam that is present in me that understands a form? Understand? So it is also present in me. I'm a product of that. Do you understand? Now these are also called the Pancha Tanmatraya. Tanmatra is a word that you come across in scriptures in some parts, right? Tanmatra means something that is very subtle. These 5 tanmatras that I explained to you just now. Jala Panchakas. Okay. So we have covered Akasam. We have covered Vayu. Agni. Jalam. So only one more left. Prithvi. So in which way? Now picture, when we say body, I'm interacting with the world, what is happening? You begin to understand there is a knowing element, there is a mind, there is a buddhi, right? There is something that is seeking happiness, there is something I am doing the feeling. And with that, I've got these 5 senses of perception, the jnana indriyangal, right? Then I also breathing, right? These 5 breathing that's going on. So the machine is active. Then I'm able to, with these 5 jnana indriyangal, I'm connecting with the Pancha Tanmatra here. Understand? Right? But I don't stop there. I also do action. Right? If I'm just lying down doing nothing, these 20 are okay. But then I'm also doing action. I'm using my hands, I'm using my legs, I'm speaking. Right? Those activities. Then I'm also procreating, I'm also doing excretion.
So what is Prithvi?
Huh?
What is Prithvi?
Prithvi. Prithvi means earth. Earth. Right? So the 5 elements of the grossest part in my own body, what I do, right? Those 5 elements, my speaking, the hands, the legs, and the procreating organ and the excreting organ. Those are activities. They are called karmendriyas, karma indriyangal. So now you understand what the body, this machine called body is. Right? So, do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on. Any questions on the phone? Clear? Okay. Now, we also called, there are other ways this body is called, known by. What are they? Are there many other levels that we have to worry about with this body? The one way we looked at it. Yes. There are many ways, but they all come down to only 4. One is what they call the Sthula Sariram, then Sukshma Sariram, Karana Sariram, and Mahakarana Sariram. This is why in Taittiriya Upanishad, the Rishi says there are 4. Right? And this is the 4. And we need to understand it because before we start talking about yogam, we need to understand all this to see, oh, this is what's happening, right? Okay, so one way we understood. Now another way is, what is this Sthula Sariram, grossest body that we all know? We go in front of a mirror and then beautify it, right? And when we think of somebody, immediately we think of the form only. And then we assign some characteristic to that person. my own projection of my own thought. That person is cunning, this person is good, oh, that person is so educated. So all these are my creation. What that person really is not a problem, right? You really think about it, and immediately I either get attracted or I get repelled, right? All this that's the grossest, sthula sarira. See, when we think of myself, myself is different. When I think of others, I seldom think of what we call a sukshma sarira, his own mind. I only think of him only in the physical form. The sthulam is the physical, grossest form. Sukshma sariram is the mind, right? And then on, I'm sorry, the stula, the stula sariram, sukshma sariram, and then the karana sariram, deham and sariram. I gave you the meaning in one of the classes. And what we call beyond the dream state, that we know there is, we call it as a deep sleep. It's easy to understand. Slept so well. We feel so good. Right? We all know we had a great deep sleep, and because of that we feel energetic and so peaceful and very energized, rejuvenated, right? But I really cannot recapitulate what happened in that deep sleep. All I know is that I was there. Because of that, nanna thuginen, right? Very beautiful. But what happened? Dream I'm able to recapitulate to some degree. That state, that the deep sleep, is a karana sarira. Now, beyond that, there is something there that's called the mahakarana sarira. So these are the 4 levels to look at body. Okay? Let's move on. I'm covering these so that when we come to start looking into Yoga Sutras, we may be able to relate. Because he will talk about different things, Dhamma, Shama, and so many things, and Pratyahara, and all these things will come. We need to understand what those are.
Mahakaranam is like merging with Bhagavan.
Mahakaranam is, that's the, yes. And we'll talk about that. Whether it is a merging or whether it is a witness stage, we'll see. We'll come all those, okay, will come. There's something is impossible to understand from where we are. Okay? But you only can experience it. So, next question comes, Swami, then what is this stula sariram? You said stula, gross body. Immediately all of us shake our head and move on. But what is it? That is the one that has got these 25 aspects. What are the 25 aspects? We just covered. 5 times 5. Right? Those are, we call the tanmatras and whatever words that you use. Those are the 25 aspects. That the thing called the physical lump. Not only physical lump, it's also got the mind and buddhi. Right? And it's also got the knowing aspect. Also got the ahamkaram. Right? All those things combined, put together, that stuff is called the stula sariram. Okay? So we carry the burden of these 25 as we move around. Right? You understand? Now, then comes what's the sukshma sariram, the one that has got the dream stage. What exactly happens? Think for a second. Are you able to do you move your hands and legs and all that? We don't. Right? What is happening in the dream state? That Sukshma Sariram has got 17 of the 25. Okay, and what are those 17 aspects that it has got? In the dream, you're able to see. You're running around trying. I don't know about whether it happened to you. I run after a bus and I miss many times. I've had feelings of not passing an exam. So many things, right? But so this, so you're able to see, right? And you're able to hear sound and stuff like that. So, thing is, speaking you cannot. You're not able to speak. That's under karma indriyangal. That's why it is not present. But jnana indriyangal are present. Okay? Understand? So those 5 jnana indriyangal, and the tanmatra we call the Pancha tanmatras. Because remember, if I see if I'm running after a bus to catch it, that means I'm also seeing the form of a bus in the dream. So tanmatras are present. 5 tanmatras, 5 jnana indriyangal. That bunch is present. That is 10. Then I am also doing the breathing, the pranan, apanan and all that. So 5 Pancha Vayukal is present. So 15. Then thing that is present in the dream state is the mind and the buddhi. Right? Because mind is creating it. So those 17 constitute the Sukshma Sarira. That's also called Taijasa and all that. So just so that you know the name, because if the word comes, Taijasa, right? It is not the Tejas. Tejas is different. It is called Taijasa. Okay, it's another name for that. And we could say it is the dream state. So let's move on. Then, if I say that is the dream state, in English we say dream state. In same way for the gross body, we say Jagrata. The state of is called Jagrata. Jagrata means take care, be careful. That's the term we use. But the state, the awareness, the state of consciousness in which we move about when we say we are woken up. Right now, we are still in the dream stage. If you look at it spiritually, that is another thing. But what we call as the waking stage is also called Jagrata. Okay? Now, Karana, Sarira. Okay? And what happens there, see, the mind is not present, right? And none of your Jnana Indriyangal are present, okay? And that is why you're not able to see or hear or anything, right? And mind is not, that's why you're not able to, there's no memory of what happened there, because all those are non-present. But consciousness is present. That is why you're able to say, yes, you don't know where you went, but you went somewhere, and getting up feeling very refreshed, right? So peaceful. And that is why we can live without food for X number of days. We can live without water for Y number of days. But you try living without sleep, that will kill you. Because that is our daily contact with Bhagavan, where we get and take a dive into this ocean of peace and shanti, and then come back for the next 24 hours. Then we go back and dive into it, get that ocean of peace, and then come back. Otherwise, we cannot live. There's no energy. Do you understand? So that is Karanam. That's why it's called Karanam, the cause. Okay? Karana Sarira. So there only Chittam, the consciousness. Now, along with that is one more thing is present. Remember, we said this Jnata, this knowing, something within me that knows. Yes, what we call as in English the knower. The one who knows. That is present within us all the time. That is also present in that Karana state. Because that's only when you so-called wake up, you are able to know that you are somewhere. You don't know where you are, but you know somewhere. That knowing is also present. Consciousness, the knower is present. That is called Prajna. Okay? Understand? So Taijasa, so Jagrata and Prajna. Sanskrit words, so that you know. Okay? And we call it as Sushupti. Okay? Jagrata, with Sukshma, Stulam, Sukshmam and Sushupti. Now beyond that, there is a fourth one. Tad Brahma, Tad Atma, that's what the Rishi says. Okay? So that one, what is present there? What is the Tattvam, the principle present? We talked about the 25 principles and 17 principles and 2 principles. Right? So what is present in this stage? It is beyond Tattvam. It is beyond any principles. It is just a witness. That's all. Nothing there. Yes. There is not even a knower. See, when for you to know something, that means the knower, the object to be known, and the process of knowing. All the three are present. Here, nothing. There's just a witness. It's just there. That is the ocean of love. Prema eva. Anando Brahman is what the Vedam says. That is nothing but bliss, nothing but peace, whatever word we say, love, whatever. Okay?
That is Mahakarana.
That is Mahakarana state. And the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, it's Akshara Purusha, Aksharam, without declining, without change. Okay? 10 more minutes, Kana. Okay, we'll be done. So, now you understand the thing from that side, right? So, Stula Sariram, Sukshma Sariram, then you have the Karana Sariram and Mahakarana Sariram. Jagrada, then you got the dream state, then the Avastha there, and then you got Sushupti, and then this is nothing but Akshara Purusha, right? Okay, so when we look at our body that way, now you get a different perspective, isn't it? One, we understood how the thing, what makes it happen, this machine move and all that, that's another. This is one. Okay. Please understand. Don't leave this understanding because it will be a beautiful entry into the Yoga Sutra. Because the next word is yoga. Atha and yoga is the second word. Very important. Okay. So to be able to understand it. Okay. Now, so the question comes. See, you said that the gross element, the Prithvi, is present in 5 aspects. Okay, we call it as Karmendriyas, right? Right? Is that, well, how does it show up? Does it present? Can you show me, explain to me? He said, yeah. Your bone, your skin, your flesh, the blood vessels, the veins we have, and the hair. These are the gross presence of Prithvi. Understand? Okay. What about water? How is it present in a gross manner? We talked about the Tanmatra, how the water is present. But you know what is the gross? See, I can understand only something that is gross. I'm trained that way. You know, it has to have a form. It has to have a name. Then I can relate to it. But we will take the name out of it, I'm lost. Impossible. How do you describe prema? I have to give a word. It doesn't have a name. I'm struggling, right? So that's how I've limited myself. Now, so Swami is teaching from the kindergarten level in the way that I understand, from the gross to the subtle, he is going to take me. Okay? So how is the 5 water is present? Okay. We all know aspect of water is jalam, is blood, urine. We know immediately, we can picture that. Saliva, we can picture that. Phlegm, I can picture that. And brain. That's an aspect, physical presence of water element in our body. Then how about fire? Agni. Right? The Jnana-Indriya we talked about. We know, how is Agni? Can you show me, sir, how is it present? It's present as my hunger. First one, we all can relate to that straight away. Thirst, we can relate to that. Right? That's how it's present. Please understand. Next time we are thirsty, pay respect to that. Agni, in me. Moment you start thinking like that, you've taken the step towards yoga. Trust me, that you've turned your mind towards Bhagavan. So it's no longer in a book. Okay? That's how we should conduct ourselves. So, hunger, okay, and thirst, and sleep, like sleep. See, I feel sleepy because I am a slave of sleep. I'm subject to sleep. I'm not like Lakshmana, who did not sleep at all. I'm not like Arjuna, who has conquered sleep, right? But I am what I am. So, I subject myself. When a sleep comes in, that's why Bhagavan says, when you go to sleep, picture, pray to me and say, I am now lying down on your lap. Accept me. That is what it is. Sleep is Bhagavan. Just picture. Before you close your eyes, I am lying on the lap of Bhagavan. That is what he says, not me. He says, tell me that, because he's a divine mother. Then you start this yoga process, automatically every moment you start thinking of Bhagavan. Okay, because the second sutra in Patanjali Yoga Sutra is going to talk about mind. So you have to control, turn the mind, manmana bhava, that you got to go that way. So this is how. Hunger, thirst, sleep, and sloth. Sloth is the laziness, That is one way Agni is present. And we all have this natural tendency, while we live in this machine called the body and mind and all that, to be what? To be with friends. That feeling of comradeship. The necessity, a tree is happy. Many things are happy by themselves, right? But we cannot be by ourselves. Okay, you say, oh, don't disturb me and all that. Try being alone. Now you go to India, I feel so rejuvenated every time I'm in India because so many people there, so much energy. I feel so lively there. And that thing that is happening there, that is an aspect of Agni, okay, comradeship, 5. Then, what about Vayu? From Agni we go to Vayu, right? And the activity we perform, the tendency to be active, we call it Rajasic, another term, but the tendency to be active, activity, the movement we make, right? Not only activities, and the speed that we have, and a feeling of shame and fear that we have, right? Those are the aspects of Vayu within us. Aspects of Akasam, how is it present? Now, we have lust, desire. Lust means desire for the other sex, right? That is an aspect of Akasam. Then we also have anger, we have greed, right? We have pride, we have envy, the jealousy, right? Those are aspects of Akasam. So next time I feel jealous, I can look at it, oh, this is one of the Panchabhutangal present. Immediately you go, the moment you think of Panchabhutangal, do you not think about Bhagavan immediately? It's impossible to think Panchabhutangal just by 5 elements by themselves. Because automatically what has caused the 5 elements? What is beyond that? That is in our mind. So, whereas I study earth, then I miss the 5 elements, right? I can only concentrate only on the earth. Right? So, moment you start thinking like this, Akasam, jealousy, anger, greed, okay? Best way to manage anger is to Krodaha, Krodakrit, right? So, Krodaha, Bhagavan is present in the form of anger. Can Swami say, but Bhagavan, the form of love, how can it have anger? It has no anger. No. It's impossible. Impossible for Bhagavan to be angry. Even Narasimha was not angry with Hiranyakasipu. Why did we have Aditya Hridayam? How did Aditya Hridayam come about? Do you think Rama is not capable of murdering Ravana? Is that one of the main reasons he has come is because of that? If somebody have to come and tell him, sir, this is your job, do it? No. Love is so much, it always forgives. No. My child, he will become better, he will learn. So the longest rope that you can think of is Bhagavan gives you. So anger is not, but we say Krodaha. Why? Because it takes a form of anger to correct you. Do you understand? So that is an aspect of Akasam present in us. So 5. Okay. Then the question comes, and 2 more aspects we will cover for today, is now I begin to understand a little bit about this body and mind and buddhi and all this. Okay, Panchabhutangal, okay, fine. And all this, right? Or I also see the 4 levels are there. Fine, now I see how everything is showing up in me, so I can relate to it, like phlegm or urine or whatever, right? All those things. But what about all the difficulties that I go through in life? Where did it come from? All the difficulties. Is it related to all the 25 aspects that is present in me, all the Panchabhutangal? Who is responsible? Who is the culprit here for all the difficulties and the miseries and all I go through? Next question comes. Then the answer to that is very simple, and you must understand. All the travails, all the difficulties, the challenges, everything we go through is only because of the gross qualities we have. Remember, from the subtlest to the grossest, we involve ourselves only in the gross all the time. Therefore, problems come. The furthest away you are from a light, the darkest it will be. Right? So naturally, Bhagavan is full of love and happiness. Anando Brahman. Only bliss is there. But I am keeping myself only on the grossest. Naturally, your difficulties will come. You understand? The moment I think of Akasam, where is my problem and where is my misery? All of a sudden I become a different person. But I think of earth and this person acting like that, and I look at a BMW, I want it, problem comes. Yes or no? Right? So gross qualities give problems. Understand? Next question comes. The student is very astute. Sir, then why should the gross qualities give problems? I mean, they are just there. A tree is there, a BMW just sitting there. Why should it give me a problem? That is due to vasana. Right? And then, vasana. So, and Chinmayananda's favorite term, whichever lecture you go through vasana, but actually we have to go beyond that. Okay, we should not get trapped in that. We need to understand what vasana is. Vasana means immediately think smell. Vasana we say. Okay, and for those of us, all of us from India, we can easily relate to one thing. Now, if I tell you there is a rose flower or an incense stick that you took, and then the incense stick is burnt and gone, still the smell, fragrance lingers, right? That example we don't give. The classic example we give is to do with hing, LG, Perungayam, Dabba. Open it, immediately the smell is there. Everybody can relate to that very easily. That's how our mind works. Okay. Even there, we don't go through the fragrance of a flower, we have to go to a hing fragrance. But we understand a residual tendencies, vasana. So, then, how many vasanas are there? Next question I have to understand. Because, right, we are in an understanding mode right now, correct? How many vasanas are there, sir? Listen, there are lots of smell, so many varieties are there, but they all only belong to only 4 groups. Whichever they are, so many of them, you can bring them to one of these 4. And what are those 4? Next question. So we need to understand. So when we go into the second word, yoga, okay, we have to understand the vasanas and move them away or move away from them. Right? And first is the residuals and tendencies associated with the body. I am pretty, I am tall, I am this, I have dressed this way, I am wearing this nice silk saree or a suit or whatever. I am handsome, So many things to do with the body that we carry in our head, rightly or wrongly. Then the vasanas from the mind, oh my God, this is incredible. Because it's not only from this birth, in this birth also we are carrying, because of whatever thing we carry in our mind, it's a natural tendency, right? From the previous birth, so many births I may have taken, those residencies also are attacking on me. Right? Right? Right, exactly. So from this thing, a body and mind, 2 you had. Then a third vasana, group of vasanas, residual tendency, so to speak, is from wealth. A person who is very wealthy may try to be truly humble, but may not be able to achieve that. True humility comes not by saying, I'm going to be humble, I'm wealthy, I'm not going to show. No, it doesn't come. It comes from mental purification. Now, that's the only way to achieve humility and humbleness. So, wealth carries its own vasanas. And then the 4th one is sex. Okay? Then, Okay, now I understand how this body is made of, how this levels of awareness and what. That's also, I got 4 different bodies there. It is not only this particular body that is made out, I got 4 different bodies that I'm operating on, right? And then we understood on the physical level how these Pancha Bhutangal appear with me. Then we said, okay, but then why all these difficulties, where they come from? Or from the gross elements only. But why? What is happening in the gross element? Do I attach myself to the Akasam? Why? But I attach myself to something that is gross. Isn't it? So why? That's the question that comes. That is due to vasanas. The 4 vasanas are there. Because I think I am this body, I attach myself to a body. Right? So then up to that point we understand the 4 vasanas, right? Next comes the question, okay, among all this, Swami, this is no phenomenal. Somebody, the so-called creator, has done all this beautiful play, and it is happening. I know if my prana doesn't come, this thing falls down, just gets burnt. But and I know that also. It is not like it is unknown. It's a known knowledge. Is that this is temporary, right? It's a known knowledge that when I see an object that I attracted to it, that is actually present within me. So many things have been explained to me, Swami. In spite of all this, what is this aspect in man that makes him go around and stutter about thinking, I am doing this, and all this ego and pride and all that? Where does that come from is the question. Because ego and pride are anathema to yoga. You cannot, it's impossible. It's got to be given up. And we're going to cover a few more aspects of it. So you understand the word akar. And so this egoism that man has got, okay, of ahamkara, I am the doer, and along with that comes the pride. There are 2 aspects. Don't think in terms of English, please. Then you will miss the message. Ahamkaram. Okay? And from the ahamkaram, I am doing this, I have achieved this, and I have become a CEO, I made my $1 million, whatever it is, so many ways, ahamkaram, that feeling comes many things. And that we are going to talk about. Madam, dharpam, so many things are there. Pride, there are different. Pride is not just one word. There are several aspects to it, which we will cover. So that in a very short way we call as egoism. Okay? Understand? Do you understand the subtle differences? Okay. So, where does it come from? How many types of egoism are there? Come, next question. Right? And for that the answer is, there are again many types of egoism out there, but they all can be grouped into 4. Okay. What are those 4? Putting the collar up and I am somebody, right? Number 1, the egoism or the pride that comes from one's lineage. Lineage. Kulam. Oh, so I belong to, say, this Allah Krishnaswami's cousins, father, in-laws, son-in-law's brother I am, whatever the relation is, comes. So I belong to this kulam, Who cares? The body is going to go one day. But we carry that in our head. Egoism of kulam, of clan. And you may say, I'm a Brahmin, I'm this, I'm this. So many things, right? That's ego. One form of egoism. Second form of egoism is the vanity that comes from wealth. Okay? That we're going to talk about that a bit more, so we understand the different types of vanity. On one hand, we read the story of Kulasekara. Okay? And we read the story of Janaka. On another hand, we make money and we become proud. We don't learn. Right? So that is the second group of egoism. Third is the egoism, the vanity associated with youth. I'm young. See, when you are young, especially in the 18th and teens and all that, my God, there is nothing that you cannot do. Right? And you look at all the oldies and say, what do these guys know? I'm going to change the world, or whatever it is, right? they forget that you also will become old one day. But that vanity, that egoism associated with that youth is a third. And the fourth one, probably the worst of them all, I think, to my humble opinion, is the egoism associated with scholarship. I've read so much. Sir, he has read all the Vedas, all the Prapadanga. Oh my God, he can quote all this. Sir, Valmiki Ramayana, he can quote any stanza. So many things, he got there and people said, how well read he is, how scholarly. The most read person will be the most humble. Well, you cannot even see him. He will be so silent, sitting somewhere in a corner. You have to bring him out, like Paramacharya was, like Seshadri Swamigal was. Seshadri Swamigal, somebody had, rather than Ramana Maharshi has to tell somebody, hey, go there, this guy moving around like a beggar, like a madman on the street of Pondicherry. Not Pondicherry, that's Tiruvannamalai. Go to seek him. Those are the really learned people. Okay? So, understand, the next time you interact with someone, it's for your benefit. You have to do the filtration. Otherwise, you will be polluted. You will be the loser. Okay? So, these are the instructions from Swami. So, those are the types of egoism. So, with that, we will conclude today. And then for the next class, we will take up, what was it?
One.
Huh?
Four.
Four.
Only four?
Four types of groupings for egoism. Clan, that group thing. Then wealth. Then you got youth. Then you got scholarship. Okay? The height of scholarship is Vinay. I think it's impossible. Can you find anybody who goes more humble than Bhagavan? Impossible. We have to learn sincerely.